Chatham is a beautiful seaside community located at the elbow of Cape Cod. We started our day with breakfast at the Hangar B Eatery located at the Chatham Airport. We are with Tracy Shields, and she's the owner of the Hangar B Eatery here at the airport in Chatham.
Yes.
So how long has
welcome.
this been here?
Hangar B has been here for 14 years. Yeah, just had our anniversary April 10th. There had been restaurants up here for years before that in various different incarnations.
And so what did you do before that? Were you always in the restaurant business or?
On and off. I was out on the West Coast, and then I grew up coming here in the summers, and my mother had retired to our summer house here, and she actually got ill, and so it made the most sense. I had just started a family, and so kind of made the most sense for me to come out here and help her. But most recently I'd actually been working in the entertainment industry doing casting, but I've always been in and out of sort of the restaurant industry or wine. I worked as in wine sales as a wine director, managed a restaurant in LA. I've always had a sort of a passion for food and wine. And then especially living in Los Angeles, it's always a good other job to have, is to be in restaurants because you can go anywhere. And it was never like I want to open a breakfast restaurant. There were definitely conversations about I want to have a restaurant. But my experience is in fine dining and is evenings. But when you have a baby, your whole daytime, your hours of your life shift dramatically. So mornings seemed better, and that's what worked for this space better. So the thought was to try and bring as much of the sensibilities of as if it was a dinner restaurant, and to put the sort of detail and intentionality into what we were crafting as we would for a dinner menu as well.
And it seems like you do that very successfully. You have some really creative items on the menu. So where do you come up with these ideas?
So it's a combination of things. Like there's some items on our menu that have been with us from the very beginning, which are absolutely out of the mind of my then partner, who is a chef. And we've, they're standbys. Like if we were to try and take any of those off the menu, people would really revolt. And then I bought him out in 2016, and thankfully Yo-Yo is his name, is my go-to man in the kitchen, and he and I have worked really well in the subsequent years, collaborating on menu dishes. The amount of food that one man can execute the same every time is outstanding. So it's a group effort, and then sometimes there's just something that he comes to me and he's like, I want to do this and that, and I'm like, great, let's do it, let's try it.
Wow. And who makes the jams?
That would be Yo-Yo in the kitchen, but it's sort of a collaborative thing as well in terms of what fruit we can get when. We do sell jars of it here, and we sort of struggle to keep up with that demand, and that's our whole kitchen. What you saw, ladies, as you walked in. Like we don't have a walk-in anywhere. We don't have extra storage. Like that is it.
Sausage Benedict.
Okay, we'll just.
I'll get you some maple syrup.
And some, maybe a couple little plates too.
So this looks great. Now, what are your hours here?
So right now, in January, February, and March, we are just Thursday through Sunday. April, we were Wednesday through Sunday. Now that we're in May, we're Wednesday through Monday. So we're closed on Tuesdays. We stay closed on Tuesdays throughout. Right now, we're 8 to 1, but then once we get to Memorial Day weekend, it'll be 7 to 2.
Ah, okay, so breakfast and lunch.
Yeah. It's the same menu all day. It's definitely more breakfast heavy, but there are some more lunch type items on there as well, like our fish tacos or a turkey burger or grilled cheese and soup. But people definitely come and have people order some of the lunch type things at 8 a.m. and often people get an egg dish at 1 or 2.
Thank you. Awesome. Are there certain times that are busier in terms of the air traffic that people can come and watch the planes? I bet kids
it
love that.
totally depends on, weather, the cloud ceiling, but it's actually a pretty busy little municipal airport. Like this is often, full of planes. A lot of them are in the back hangars right now because it's just not as busy this time of year.
Yeah.
But you'll see during the main season there'll be, 3 or 4 of these Cessnas that are doing sightseeing tours. There'll be a biplane, an open cockpit biplane that does sightseeing tours as well.
Great.
So yeah. And then, Fridays and Mondays are a little busier with air traffic because it's people being dropped off or picked up for the weekend.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank you.
What you got, Marcia?
I have a pancake, listen to me, potato donut with homemade jams.
Blackberry red wine vinegar, lemon curd and vanilla bean, and strawberry thyme balsamic.
That's awesome.
I think
You're being stingy with yourself.
I am, but that's all right. We can.
I want to do more than that.
Oh, she will.
I will. I'm not worried. I'm going to take a little of this.
See, she's already. How is
I
it?
love it. It's really very tasty.
So I'll try the balsamic.
The strawberry thyme balsamic.
Yes, that. Strawberry
It's
thyme.
nice. We like to always give our jams a fair amount, so sweet as it is. We like to give it some acid in the vinegars, and then the strawberry, a little of the earthiness with the thyme.
Very good. So they make their own jams, they make their own donuts. The donut has a crispy outside. It's got that sweetness from the sugar. And the jam, really very tasty. It's not heavy like I thought it was going to be with potatoes. I mean, it's not super light, but it's very tasty. You gotta try these, they're great.
I have here Honey Crisp apple bread pudding, French toast, vanilla, and look at it.
You cheated, you had to read the menu.
I did. Could you? You're absolutely right.
Do you want syrup on it?
No, I want to try it without. This
Okay.
is too good. I'm not the syrup queen.
Oh, that would be me.
Yes, it would. This is good.
Now this is,
You're cheating.
all right, chicken sausage, Yukon potato croquette
Benedict.
with
Poached egg.
arugula and of course and tomatoes. But this looks delicious. Ooh, yes, nice runny egg. Got a little spice from the chicken sausage and potato. It's crispy on the outside and nice and soft on the inside. And the egg is just the right runniness that you like to have. And I like the little crunch of the greens with it. This is a fabulous dish. You gotta come try it. Oh, they certainly look good. Oh my God.
Your parents.
I bet you want to see. No, ma'am, you don't want me bacon.
Wow.
Yep. My group would normally go though, so my parents would,
Oh, you could sit outside here and
We're here with Kevin Wright at the Atwood Museum,
with the Historic Society. Is that correct?
That's right. We were the Atwood Museum part of the Chatham Historical Society.
And are you the president? I didn't ask you that.
I'm the executive director, and I think technically I'm the president of the Historical Society. I never go by president, but just
director. Tell us when this town was established, Chatham.
Okay, well, the official town, well, so William Nickerson first, purchased property around when it was called Monomoyet, back in around 1656, but it didn't really become an official incorporated town until about 1712, and that's when they changed the name to Chatham and stuff like that. So around 1712.
And is Chatham special for something, or what? How did that
I mean,
work?
Chatham really, we think of it as it was originally a fishing community. A lot of people, a lot of commercial fishermen, a lot of weir fishing went on there. But then again, like a lot of communities, tourism started taking over, and then you had a lot of different big hotels, like the Chatham Bars Inn, that came in, and it was one of these big resorts that everybody came. Obviously, there was the Wampanoags that were here originally. Then they had, in fact, when they came back in the 1600s, they brought smallpox, unfortunately, and so it wiped out a lot of the Wampanoag people there for a while. It's definitely a destination place here in Chatham, so I think a lot of people come to Chatham and reside in Chatham.
And how many people, percentage-wise, do you think live here full-time now? Has that changed?
Yeah, I mean, we're the second oldest community on the Cape, Orleans being the oldest. So I think it has a solid base, but definitely when the summer comes, it triples in population. I don't remember exactly the total number, but it definitely triples in size because everybody just flocks to the beaches, and it's such a quaint little village that everybody just loves the main street. They love to come to the band that plays every Friday during July and August downtown, and it's just a big deal. So.
And you have quite a museum here.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're very proud of the Atwood Museum. I've been here. I started out as a part-time administrator in the November of 2015. And then within a year, I became their assistant director. And then during COVID, my predecessor decided to retire. So I became the director in December of 2020.
So tell me about this museum.
Yeah, this museum, so it was, it's called the Atwood Museum because Captain Joseph Atwood, back in the between 1752 and 1756, he purchased 30 acres of land. He originally lived in Eastham, bought 30 acres of land on this property here, and built the house, the Atwood House. And then there was a group of ladies, the Chatham Ladies Reading Club, that was literally across the street, and they thought it was, there was so much history that they wanted here. They established the Historical Society.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was about in 1923. Alice Walker Guild was one of the main forces behind that, and so in 1923 they established the Historical Society. They quickly realized they needed more space. The old house, again built by Captain Joseph Atwood, was available. The people that owned it in 1923, 1924 offered to sell it to the group of the Historical Society. They put up a sign and they raised $5,000 to purchase the house, half of which went to purchasing the house, the other half went to restoring the old house. And then in 1925 it was officially became part of the Historical Society, and everything was incorporated in 2026.
Wow.
And then I think it was in 1927 that it was first open to the public. So it's gone through its stages, but it's, most people associate it with the old house, but it's grown. In the early 2000s, we've added, most of the new gallery came in 2008, I believe. So it became more of a museum. the mural barn, which is paintings done by Alice Stalnick back in the 1930s and 40s. That was donated to the museum after her death in 1977. So that was a separate building than they connected it to, and that's a huge part of our museum. So we have a lot of different things in here that we try to do new exhibits every year. Our main gallery, we try to keep it up for a couple of years. Since last year was our 100th anniversary, our centennial exhibit, we'll probably keep up for 3 years. Last year for our 100th anniversary, we were able to get funding. We put together a nice media center. You can't have a media center without film, so we got some films donated to us, and then we produced a documentary about Alice Stalnick, and that's about a 15-minute documentary, which is, it talks about her life and her struggles with her husband at the time, and her love for her husband, that they stuck it through thick and thin. So it's a great documentary. It's actually going to show on the 9th of this month. It's going to be showing at the Orpheum Theater.
That theater, we're going to drive by and get pictures of
Yep.
it. How long has that been there?
I'm going to say around 1912.
1912?
Yeah, I believe it was in 1912 that came, but and that's been a staple, for a long time. And then eventually they tore it down. It was a CVS at one point.
Really?
And then there was people in the community that said, this is a rich part. So they got some funding, and they decided to bring back the Orpheum Theater. And it's just, if you have an opportunity to go to it, it's wonderful. It's just 2 actual theaters, a smaller one and a larger one. But there's a beautiful mural in the lobby that shows different movie stars from Hollywood, and you get that really hometown theater. It's not like your box cutter movie theater per se. And Kevin McLean, who's the director over there, he does an incredible job of getting the community involved and giving back to the community. So he does a lot of different fundraisers to help raise money for the nonprofits. So it's a great part of the community.
That's
sure.
really nice.
Yeah. Everybody comes, we're part of Historic Chatham, so when you come to Chatham, you like to come and see the lighthouse, which is a huge part of Chatham's history. It was in, 1908? I'm probably getting my dates all mixed up, but originally to sort of distinguish ourselves from the Highland Light in Truro, they put together the Twin Lights in Chatham. Eventually the Twin Lights, too close to the ocean, erosion, and they fell into the ocean. So they rebuilt them a couple different times. And then at some point they took the north tower of the Twin Lights and they donated it to Eastham, and the Nauset Light. And then, so Chatham Light, as it is today, is only the one light. The one light that went to Eastham, the Fresnel lens that was in that, they didn't need it. They had their own set of lights, so it was eventually donated back to us. So that's the Fresnel lens that you'll see in our parking lot. This room here we call the Joseph C. Lincoln room. Joseph C. Lincoln was one of the more prolific authors that lived in this area. He was actually born in Brewster, but then he moved to Chatham. He lived off of Shore Road. He wrote over 40 different novels. So we created this exhibit sort of as a pay homage to what we think his library might have looked like. Probably doesn't look exactly like this, but it gives that feel and that warm thing. One thing you'll notice as you go through our museum, we're very big on pop. We try to give a lot of different colors to make the exhibits pop, so we're kind of excited about that. And I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by a talented young staff that keeps me vibrant for sure. So, Here we call Land Ho, talks about the shipping and fishing community. We typically during the season will have some sound effects in here, like you're in the ocean and stuff, and these things like so.
What a rough.
Yeah, you can imagine. Point.
What's it called again?
It's called weir fishing. So if you're looking out in the water, you used to see these piles out there, and you would know that's what they would do. So they would have these nets. The fish would come through because of the current, and they would fall all the way into the final net there, and they couldn't get themselves out. But it is a dying fad. Exhibit in here talks about the rescue of the Pendleton. A big part of Chatham's history. So in 1952, February 18th, there was 2 oil tankers that split in half. They realized after they had sent the Coast Guard out to rescue the first one, the Fort Mercer, that there was another one. So there was 4 Coast Guardsmen from Chatham that went on that call. And this is a replica of the front end of the 36-500. And they went to go rescue 32 people from the Pendleton. 8 had perished on the one end of the boat of the tanker, but they were able to rescue 32 of 33 people.
Wow.
And it's called one of the greatest rescue in Coast Guard. So in 2016, Disney put out a movie called The Finest Hours. They did filming here in Chatham, and it was a big part of it. So this was we call the antique tool room. This sleigh was part of the original Atwood store.
So there was a store.
So there was a store. There was originally it was located on Stage Harbor Road, and then it moved to just about 1900 to Main Street in Chatham. And they used to have this sleigh that they used. So one day, one of our great volunteers called me up and said, "Kevin, you got to come down to the Eldridge Garage and check this out." This was in just pieces of wood.
It wasn't the original one, or did
It's the
you
original
give
one.
it-
So they put it. So they had a volunteer put it back together.
Wow.
And they donated it to the museum. And
Wow.
so what do we do with it? So we created a little thing that's
That's
sort of like
cool.
the Atwood store. Our main goal here at the museum is to sort of create an experience when people come. This is called the Duran Room, and the Durans are people back in the 70s that donated all this different stuff to us. So, but this year we decided to put in a children's activity room. So you get the young kids that come, and they have a lot of energy. So hopefully mom or dad can split off. Someone can go see the museum, swap. So now we're into, this area is the old house built in the 1750s. This actual area here is an addition to the original house. We call this Marjorie's Kitchen. We always have all our docents have a quick story about Marjorie, as she was married to John Atwood, and in order to get married, he said, "If you marry me, I'll build you a whole new house." Well, he was just sort of, it was courting words. So they built this addition to placate her, so to speak.
Is that her?
And that's Marjorie Smith right there. But the original house is right here, and they used to say it's the oldest house in Chatham. It's not officially the oldest house. It's one of the oldest houses, and one of the oldest houses that really hasn't been modernized. So this is the kitchen. Joseph Atwood, because he had a lot of money, he wanted people to know he had a lot of money. He built his in an oval shape. He had 8 children, Joseph Atwood. He was married to Deborah Sears, and they had 8 children. The lady of the house would typically give birth. We believe that it was probably when Joseph Atwood and Deborah Sears were first here. It was probably their master bedroom at that time. So again, I believe this is the north parlor. Obviously, it's the dining room, and this is where they would have spent most of their formal meals. But of course, Joseph Atwood was a sea captain, so he was out to sea a lot of times. So when he was away, she was taking care of the kids. Janet Marjolais, she just turned 89, and she's a hoot. And she's very meticulous about the clothing that we had. And she was very instrumental. Her and Christina worked on the hat exhibit. So
The hat exhibit. Look at this.
So this is
Isn't that great?
this is great. This is fun.
It really is.
Yeah.
Wow. I love
And
how
this is
they've
still
got.
the old part of the house, right?
This is
Yes,
now
yeah.
we're into the south parlor.
Yeah.
And you notice the floors and the
Yeah.
wide boards. Some of them
Yeah.
apparently back. Technically, if any board was wider than 12 inches, it belonged to the King of England.
Really?
So in order to not pay the king's ransom, they would have cut the boards shorter. Yeah. I don't know how true it is, but it makes a good story. But we always had the old organ. We always had this music box, Swiss-made music box from the 1900s. Still plays today, actually.
My sister has one.
Just a beautiful sound. It just resonates. A lot of times we'll have the younger kids come and we let them crank it, and then we explain to them that this is prior to the iPhone, so they have a sense of reality. Yeah. And we're excited. Tomorrow's our first opening day. Big step here.
Fortunate to
Yeah.
Didn't realize that.
gotta find my chair.
And I can show you the murals too. So
Oh,
you'll
okay.
probably want to get a good picture of that. In 1947, by Joshua Nickerson, and then he sold it to his son Jan Nickerson, Joshua Jr. So this was actually exactly as it was out on North Beach when it was out in there. And, nothing really changed. Obviously, we had to put in air conditioning. Both Beatles, and they started to eliminate that problem. But kids love this. Yeah. See, it's plenty of room. This is what they would do: bring the family out, enjoy life, get rid of the technology. Mosquitoes were really bad back in the day, so they would have had a chamber pot in there. Even though there's an outhouse out there, they would have had an outhouse. But sometimes in the hot summer with all the mosquitoes, they just put business inside.
So, grab that. That's $13.80 with the tax, please. What is this? Yeah, that's not cornhole.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not paying.
Here's your card.
Thank you. I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mission accomplished.
Good. I'm gonna tie this so they don't.
All right,
slip out.
thank you. I could do that.
Isn't this a cool shop?
I have never seen so many ducks in my life.
Thank you very much. All sorts of ducks.
Here.
Okay.
And then we have one that's a little bigger. They're in yellow or black. And how much are these little ones?
So I have a whole string.
Oh, okay, I can cut. That's just a big piece, so I can cut you.
Oh, Marcia, you're losing your sandwich?
Nice attic.
All right.
Tomato and lettuce and I don't know what else. But the fish tastes great.
Good. Oh, all right.
Not real greasy.